Hey, my friends, this is the heads up to the longer podcast. It's going to be a little bit scary. Making plans, succeeding at your goals have got to be a little bit scary. Not the pain of overwhelm, not of anxiety, not fear that lead to that procrastination and not getting your goals, not doing them. In this podcast, I'll take you through every step of the way. That'll take that pain of overwhelm, anxiety, fear, procrastination completely away and give you the steps to your success. If that's of interest to you or important to you, have a listen after this. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast, where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be, with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here, because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend. Hey, we're back with the longer podcast. And it's all about things have got to be just a little scary. And I know we talk about anxiety, letting go of anxiety, letting go of fear, getting confidence and inner confidence, but doing things that stretch us beyond people call it our comfort zone. And I tend to call it our familiar zone, because it doesn't care how, it's not really comfortable sometimes. It's just familiar. And when we push past that imaginary boundary, it is a little scary. But it's also a little bit exciting, especially if you know where you're going. And that's where we're here today. Because I want to talk about, do you need to plot every step on your way to your goal? Do you have to know it before you start? Because I know people who really, they can't start. I can't start because I don't know everything. I don't know enough. I haven't planned it. I haven't planned every single bit of the way. And now I'm getting even more anxious thinking about it because of the overwhelm. Because it's so much to think about and I don't know it. And the thing about goals is we don't know everything. And that's sometimes the exciting part of it. But if you're in that little zone of overwhelm where we have anxiety, which then can lead to fear, and then we get to procrastination and we don't even do the thing that we really want to do. And then we get that thing where we go, I only wish I'd done so. I could have done. I didn't. Why? Oh, blimey. And that's when, in my little meta view of this, was you settle for second best. And my meta view was don't settle for second best. Because we're more than that. You're more than that. You're more than what you think. And even when you think of something, you're more than that. But do you need to plot every step of the way? Do you need to see the whole staircase in its whole wonderful entirety before you make the first step? Take the first bit of action. And the answer is, plainly as the unconscious nose on your face, no. Because what's the worst that could happen if you took one wrong step? That was a deliberate pause so you can think, well, what would happen, Cluffy, if I took the wrong step? Well, how wrong would it be? And if it's only one step, if you're aware of what you're doing and you're aware of where you want to go, you'd know to change it, wouldn't you? But if you hadn't taken that step, that's exactly right. You'd be where you started, having done sod all, nothing. See, you only need to know, what is it? Well, here's the thing. It's a sort of metaphor, but I love this very short sort of metaphorical thing. You only need to ensure that you've put the ladder, instead of steps, against the right wall. Because sometimes we don't. That's because we don't know what we really want. So we put the ladder up against the wrong wall. We go up that ladder and find out, well, we got somewhere, but we didn't want to be here. That's not what I was planning to do. So we need to know what wall to put this blooming ladder up so we can take the first step. Because then we know what's at the top of the ladder and where we are. And we're going a little deeper now. Because you see, knowing what you want to achieve, the end result, the goal, the aim in mind, all of that stuff is exactly what we need to know. Because if you don't know that, why the hell would you even take a step? And, bet you're a bit like me, we've done it in the past. We thought we knew what we wanted, and we've made steps and steps and steps without even thinking. We haven't been aware, and we've made a right balls up of it. But we're going to just slow that down a little bit. And it is only a little bit. Because if you know what you want to achieve, as I say, the end in mind, the result, the goal, the wish, then you know which direction to head in. But the thing is, knowing what you want, how specific is it? Because some people say, I just want a better job. I just want to be a little bit more confident. I want to be a little bit more happy. To be honest, that's balls. One thing, it's so general. What do you specifically want in your career? What do you want it to give you? How do you want to feel? How do you want to experience it? I want to be a little bit more happy. No, you don't. You want to be a lot more happy. You want to be happy, full stop. You want to be not just a little bit more confident, you want to be confident. But what gives you that confidence? What would give you that confidence? Give you that happiness? Because that's what we're looking for. What is the specific goal will give you what you want to feel? And then we're going to go for it. And when we get there, and if it isn't quite exactly right, and we can go through that anyway, we can then adjust to make sure we get what we want. And we'll talk about the adjustments. But what we need to know, first of all, is what do you specifically want? And how do you do that? You write the bugger down. Oh, I can hear you groaning. You're going, oh, Cluffy, you always ask us to write things down. And there's a bloody good reason for it, because you don't forget the sod. It's there. Is it cast in stone? Absolutely bloody not, because you're going to write it on a piece of paper for a start, and therefore you can change it. And I want you to change it. What? You want me to change my specific goal? Yeah, because one thing, it's probably going to be too general anyway, because you're going to start from a generality. Oh, I just want a better career, I want a better job, or I want a relationship. All that stuff is so general, isn't it? I want to hone it down into a real specific. And when you do it the first time, you may not get it specific enough. But then you go away a little bit and you start making your plans and you go, actually, I don't still really know what I exactly want, what I specifically want. And you go back to what you've written down. Or you have a bit of intuition because your unconscious mind goes, oi, numpty, that's not what you want. What about this? And you get that intuition and you go, write it bloody down. We can change it. In fact, I can then embellish it because I can start to feel it and say, no, that's not it either, but this is it. So you write it down and you come back to it. And you can keep coming back to it as you make your plan, by the way, because it's malleable, it's flexible, because that's what we've got to be. Because here's what I tell some of my clients is you and I are not intelligent enough to know what we want, which is a pretty good slap in the chops, isn't it? What are you talking about, Cluffy? We're not intelligent. I'm saying I'm not intelligent either. Not intelligent enough, but we do know how we want to feel. So specifically, I want this, this, and this to make me feel this. And then you can get your unconscious mind and your conscious mind to mold that into something really specific. And that's when that scariness, that little bit of scare, starts to disappear. But it's got to be a little bit scary, isn't it? Because you're doing something that you haven't done before. And that's going to be a little bit scary, but in a nice, scary, exciting. Have you noticed sometimes that little bit of scary is also so close to excitement in the feelings? Because you're excited about doing something new. Because if you're just going to set a goal for doing something that you've already done before, how bloody boring would that be? You want something to be meaningful, to go out of this familiar zone, stretch yourself. Because when you do, every area of your life changes. We know that. But when you do and you plan something meaningful, it'll start to get your blood pumping. It'll start to, make you invest in yourself, because no other bugger's going to do it for you, are they? Yeah, you'll have people, you'll get some well-wishers, your supporters. You'll also get a few naysayers, but who gives a shit about them? Is it meaningful to you? And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because that's, as I say, takes away the little bit of scariness. It takes away, therefore, the overwhelm. It takes away the anxiety, the fear. And guess what? Procrastination just pisses off because we're now excited to take action. Get there in a minute. You see, before you take action, before you really get on with this plan, start taking the first step, even though you can't see the intermediate steps, but you know the last step, you need to know where you are now. Where are you now in relation to where you want to be? Because you might be bloody close already, or you might be a little bit further away. You might need to have or learn some skills. So what do? We need to know where we are now in relation to this goal, but also what resources do we have? What have we learned? What experiences do we have? What friends do we have? What things on the internet do we know about? What groups? What people? What mentors? Do we know people who have done it before? Have we done anything like it before? What are the resources we might need? Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a little while, you're going to start thinking a little bit, going, do you know what? That reminds me of something. And what does it remind you of? It's that well-formed outcome. And I can't remember what hashtag it is, but it's a little way back. But it's in the hypnosis tracks, the free hypnosis tracks. So that will guide you. So you go there. And if you haven't got it yet, just go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast. And you get 50 plus, but 50 plus hypnosis and NLP processes, but you can go to that well-formed outcome. So it gets you to know where you are now, what resources you have and what resources you need. So you start to get a firm foundation before you start moving, because we need that. You see, keeping on that metaphor, we want to know what's at the top of that ladder that we've put against the right wall now. The right wall is our goal. We know what the top is, but we want to know where we are on the ladder. Because if you're right near the top of the ladder already, maybe you want to extend it a little bit further. Make that wall a little higher. Stretch yourself a little bit more. Maybe you're at the very, very bottom. And that's cool, because this is all new, which is going to be so exciting. And again, just before we start, because this is where the motivation comes in, and I'm saying this thing about being so meaningful is we might want to find, and when I say might, I guess what I'm really saying is you want to. You might want to know your why at this time. And again, that will change, maybe. But the why is this important to me? Not necessarily doing it, but getting it. Why is the result of getting this goal, this wish, this dream, this aim in mind? The result. Why is it important to me? And what will the effects of success get me? Now, you could think about them till the cows come home, because as you think of one why, you'll think of another and that'll disappear, and the next one will disappear. So what's Cluffy going to say about this? Write the buggers down. You see, if you write them all down, again, nothing's perfect, but it's finding meaning, finding the things that are important to you. And when you find meaning and importance, you get motivated. And that's where, I nearly swore, procrastination disappears. And it said something with an off on it, but procrastination will disappear. Anxiety, fear disappear because excitement comes back in. So write them down. So please don't moan. I'm sure you're not moaning. I'm sure you're not. Because this is so important. So important to your success. So important to succeeding on every step. Because sometimes shit will happen. Sometimes we will go off line. We might just step a little bit off that ladder a little bit. And we need this motivation, this why, this meaning to go, hey, woo. Yeah, I know it's getting a little difficult, but it means so much to me. I can push through it, push around it, push over it. You see, once you've got the goal, we know where we put the ladder. We know what's at the top of the ladder. We know what's at the bottom of the ladder. And we know why it's so important to us. So we know we're going to have so much motivation that, as I said, fear, overwhelm, anxiety, procrastination just disappears. We're going to do the next wonderful thing. At last, someone might say. You're going to take action. Take action on that dream, because we're going to make a plan. Because obviously you've got to have a plan. You're not just going to take, we always say take inspired continual action. But that's making a plan for the week, for the month. Creating those small, significant steps. Nothing big, because it's overwhelm. You can do 10 small steps and get to that 10th step. You try to do one step which is the same as that 10, you'll go back into overwhelm. You'll go back into that pain of anxiety, the pain of fear, and then you'll procrastinate. You'll put it off. So we're going to do a plan. And that's the first part of taking action. Taking action is creating that plan and then taking action on that plan. And then we want to know with each one, we take that little significant step, keeping, here's the important thing, keeping that end result in mind, that specific goal that you want and how you want to feel, and the why it's so important to you, because that's a real good feeling. That's going to motivate you. That's going to not push you, but it's going to pull you to the top. And you're going to know each little step along the way, you're going to build on those little successes, because each one is a success. Each one is going to build more confidence. Each one is going to build more self-esteem. Each one is going to result in getting closer. I know I can. I'm sure I can. I don't know where that came from. But you're going to build on those successes. And you might even say, because sometimes, in this plan, you go, I get a little bit overwhelmed, Cluffy. You said I wouldn't, but I'm not quite sure. You write this question down and then you write the answers down. What's the question? Okay, I tell you, write this down. Record it if you're not. Bookmark it where we are. And the question is, what would this be like if it were easy? And you'd probably come up with, well, if it was easy, I'd do this. Oh, that's what I'd do if it was easy. I'd find some help. I'd do this. And that's just takes away that overwhelm. So now we can plan it in the most easiest way to get to what we want. And then we execute that plan. And we work our way to the very top of the stairs, the top of the ladder. And it gets closer and closer because you're planning each week, each month with small, significant steps, which, by the way, those small, significant steps will get bigger as you get better at it. And the stretch won't seem quite so much of a stretch. I'm just thinking off the top of my head in yoga. I remember when I first started yoga, touching your knees, not the floor, was difficult. Now I can touch the floor. Doing some of the stances, it was really difficult. And breathe and think and balance and all that. Well, now I enjoy the stretch, trying to stretch it even more. And that's where you're going to go. Especially, how do you plan the following week? Because you have to review what's happened. Become aware of how far you've traveled, how far you've gone up the ladder, how far you've gone towards your goal. Because sometimes you might exceed your weekly plan. Sometimes you might not. So you have to be aware. Be aware of where you're going. Are you still on the right course? Maybe you begin to see obstacles before they happen, before they create chaos or stress or fear or panic or overwhelm or procrastinate. Because as you see them, what can you do? You mitigate them. You take stock of where you are. You go back to your why. Yeah, I'm getting there. This is the way. And you can start to celebrate. So when you become aware of on review of what you've done, you can celebrate. Because when you celebrate, it's that gratitude. We don't have to talk about the act of gratitude, but just celebrate and say, I'm so pleased with what we've done. May not have got it completely where I wanted to, but generally we overestimate what we can do in the short period of time. I think Tony Robbins says this. We always overestimate what we do in the short term, but we always underestimate what we can do in the long term. So it's a matter of putting those two together. So sometimes we will say, I want to do this in a week, and we don't quite get there. But that's cool, because then at the end of the week, we review it and we modify. And as we modify, we put that picture of the goal that we want, how it's going to make us feel, because that's going to give us that meaningful why. And it's going to give us even more motivation, especially as we're celebrating along the way. And you might see more options, even as you look at the problems that may occur, because you've already thought about, well, if they happen, I could do this instead. If they do happen, you do this instead. You've got it taped. You've got it under control. Even the hairy things don't seem so hairy. And you see, the thing about mitigating potential problems. See, I'm an options man. I love options. In fact, I got told sometimes, Paul, you love too many options because your options are now confusing you. But I know somewhere in those options, there's the answer. So I was happy with that. I could always find the answer. But the thing is, once you see potential problems and you begin to mitigate them, what are you doing? You're being flexible. You're finding ways that you can go under, go round, go over. Maybe take a little detour occasionally, because sometimes we do. It happens. We take a detour to get to the next stop, because the bit in the front, that's so good. And you see, when you do that, you have one thing. And it's the one thing that I tell my clients. This is all you need to change. I don't care. I don't give a shit how bad your problem is, how big your issue is, how much you think it's going to take, because it won't take that long. But all that stuff, you don't even have to believe in the things that I do. You can be skeptical. I always say leave your skepticism outside the door and then pick it up on the way out, because then you can test. Skepticism is a good way of testing. Did it really work, what you did in there? But the thing is, you have to have the will to do whatever it takes. And that's it. The will to do whatever it takes. And when you do that, you're doing that thing I call mastery. Doing what you know, knowing what to do. And that's always increasing. Because as you're going up this ladder, you're getting more experiences. You're getting more learnings. You're getting more understandings. You're getting more confidence. You get more self-esteem. And when you really start doing what you know, because that knowledge is bigger, better, and you know what to do, and you know what you're doing, you're moving towards that goal. And it becomes easier then, and more exciting. And you do over and over again. You keep going back to those steps for the week. You review. You notice potential problems. You mitigate. You get flexible every step of the way. And you see, obviously, the bit I haven't told you, but you're going to remind me, is you're going to set your intention in every step of the way. But the reason I missed it out a little bit is because when you think of your goal, think of the way it's going to make you feel, think of your why, how meaningful it is, that is in effect setting your intention, isn't it? Without writing it down. Oh, we don't have to write that one down. No, you don't. But you can if you want to. But every step of the way, you set your intention. And then here's not the killer. Killer is the wrong word. But here's the thing that really just steps it up on another notch. You act as if you have it already. Because that's acting as if. And you act as if with the psychology and physiology of excellence. How would a person think when they've got their goal? How would they move their body, their physiology? How would they walk, they talk, they breathe? What would they think about? You put that all together, because that's to me is the psychology of excellence. Acting as if you've already got it. That will make every step of the way that much more easier. Because what would this be like if it was easy? Well, it was easy. I would act like this. I would think like this. I'd move like this. I'd plan like this. I'd review like this. I'd be taking action like this. And that's what it is. How would I act and think? And then after all of that, again, as I say, celebrate along the way, celebrate every moment, every breath, every little step, every week, every month, or whatever it is, however long it takes you. Because when you're celebrating, you are feeling grateful. And then you can get more specific about the gratefulness. You know, maybe just as you go to sleep at night, you might just say to yourself, yeah, we did a bloody good job today. That one thing we did, that was awesome. I really loved that. So grateful I got to do it. So grateful that I've got the skills, the knowledge, the wisdom, and you, my unconscious mind, with me. And then what we do is repeat. Rinse and repeat. So we go back to make sure that we know what our goal is. Is it still as specific as we want it? Can we get it more specific? Can we just check where we are now and where we're going? Are we still up against the right wall with this ladder, this staircase? Reviewing where we are, and then taking that inspired continual action to making plans and doing the plans and reviewing the plans, and then getting flexible, really understanding our why, being meaningful, always moving towards a goal, using our mastery, knowing what to do and doing what we know, and being so grateful that we've got the will to do whatever it takes, because you've got more will to do whatever it takes than you know. I'll tell you that now. And when you get into the flow of this, that will to do whatever it takes will just take over you. And you're going to feel so good. And guess what? And here's the real kicker of all of this. You've just worked on this one specific goal. And you may be working on a couple as well, but this is the one you're really going to go for. And as you get towards that goal, you're getting more confident, aren't you? Because you've got that more experience. You're doing what you know. You're knowing what you do. You're becoming a master of this. And the wonderful thing is that we have a natural phenomenon that these skills will generate and generalize into different areas of your life. So if you are getting more confident in this and more excitable, or you're getting those resources, you are going to get more comfortable and confident in other areas of your life, because your self-esteem is growing. And that's when you realize that, I'm getting good at this. And I remember I used to be a little bit fearful of maybe socializing. I'm not that anymore. Oh, that's changed. Oh, when I talk to other people at work, yeah, I'm more in control. I think I got a bit more. Yeah. I wonder why I keep getting a rise, why my career keeps getting better and better, because I haven't worked on my career. Well, my relationship gets deeper. My communication gets better. All because you've done this type of process. So I'm sharing with you the most wonderful way. Well, it's one of them. The most wonderful way to achieve what you want to achieve. And you see, just going back to some of the notes I make, you see, when we started off with, it's okay not to know every step. If you follow this process, these are the only steps you need. And we know them now because I've told you them. And all you have to do is just feel excited, because this is so doable. And you're going to find out it's even more doable than you thought was doable. And it's just going to happen. And then you can share it. Share it by being the example of being you. Because you are going to be that example that people are going to look to and go, well, if they can do it, I can do it. They might even ask you, how do you do that? And when you share that knowledge, you're going to get even better at it. Because when you teach somebody, you're going to understand things even better. This is why I love doing it from my side. Because when I'm sharing with you, I'm learning these things that I already know at a deeper level. Maybe I don't understand them as I'm saying it, but I know it's going inside me even more. And I'm going, this is richer. Maybe I'll start using this on myself too. And I will. That's what I want from you, to share it with the world by being the example you want to see in others maybe, but seeing you. Be the example you want to see in you. Live it. Do it. No point in just knowing this stuff, by the way. So if you listen to this and go, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I know that. In fact, some people actually tell me, can you believe it or not, I know this stuff. And I'll ask them, well, what are you working on? What goals? Well, no, I'm not doing actually anything. I just know it. Well, no, in that case, you don't know it. Because knowing is doing, being, living it, and creating the life you want. So share that with yourself. Give yourself permission to do that. And when you do it, say share it with others. Talking about sharing, I'm glad you mentioned that. Maybe you'll just share this episode to maybe one or everyone you know. Because that would be quite kind, wouldn't it? That's a real pay it forward. And you could ask them, well, when you've listened to that, maybe you'd share it too. Let's change the world. Make a difference to little old planet Earth and everyone who lives in it. So that would be nice to share. And if you'd share your comments, your feedback with me, that would be awesome. You can do it by email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. If you forget that, you can always just go to the personaldevelopmentunplugged.com website, where I've got loads of stuff on there, but here's a little feedback, what do they call it, a little button thing or whatever. you click on that and just send me some stuff. That'll come directly to me. Because I love your feedback. Do you think we're getting better? Are we approaching the right things in the right way? Is there something you'd like to approach differently? Is there something we haven't approached yet? We haven't discussed? We haven't come up with a process that if we did, would change your life? So if you just ask yourself, what would I like? What would be the thing that if I got would change my life completely? And then email me it. Obviously, we'll keep everyone anonymous. And it only comes to me because I'm the only bugger here. And we can get on and find the stuff that's going to change you and change the world and change me too. That would be awesome. So do that, share it, share your thoughts, share your things with me. And remember, if you're new to this and you haven't signed up to the free hypnosis and NLP processes, please do that. It's free and they're downloadable. So that means you save them on any device you like and you can have them wherever you want. You don't have to have Wi-Fi. You don't have to use your data up and all that stuff. So that's at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. You sign up to that, you get I'm trying to keep it monthly, a little monthly newsletter to give you an idea of what's happening. A little video in there where I try to do a little bit of something new that I haven't talked about before and give you a heads up to where we're going. And what else is there? We do and I've also got one or two called paid for, call them premium programs, such as Supreme Inner Confidence. There's creating an inner mind palace. There's some lovely hypnosis processes there. But the Supreme Inner Confidence program is really good. And if you have signed up to the hypnosis products, you'll notice on that newsletter and the email you get, there's a discount code, which gives you a hell of a discount. It really does. So there you go. I think we've covered every base there, haven't we? So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I have articulated myself in such a wonderful way that it made sense. If it didn't, let me know. Email me. Anyway, it is time for you and your unconscious mind to fly and create these dreams for yourself. Succeed at these goals and keep being a little scary. It is meaningful. Get that blood to flow. Make that investment in you. Okay, off you go. Let's fly. Bye-bye now.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.